Mel, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey, everybody, Cantonese Cat here. Welcome to this weekend video of the miners. And I'm just gonna tell you right off the bat what I think about CleanSpark here. This is the monthly chart, and it looks like a dragon that's been forming nothing but higher lows and higher highs. And this is the dragon head right here. Some people would also call it a bull flag. And it looks like it's just been consolidating over here for quite some time. Now the question is this the top? It's hard to say for sure because technical analysis is not deterministic. It is probabilistic, right? It's trying to tell you in terms of what it could be doing based on probabilities. Now, you have two forces that are going on right here. And the force that are going on underneath as support is that things have gone on for so bullish for so long, for about a whole year and a half, that you end up having a bullish Tenkan-Kishin cross. This is an Ichimoku cloud analysis. With Ichimoku cloud analysis, you're going to see these Tenkan-Kishin lines over here with the blue and the red. Whenever the blue gets over the red, you have a bullish cross. And whenever you have a bullish cross, it generally could mean that things can get more bullish for the foreseeable future, right? So you had a bullish cross over here, and the Tenkan-Kishin has been serving nothing but support underneath over here, right? Well, why is price having a hard time bouncing from these levels going higher? Because you're also meeting a pretty significant resistance up above after price has gone parabolic over here, especially for the month of October all the way to March 2024, really capturing a lot of people's imagination in terms of what CleanSpark can do, right? Like it went from $3 to $3.50 all the way to like $24, right? A little big move that happened over here, capturing a lot of people's imagination. A lot of people end up entering the stock, and they're thinking that it's just going to go up and move and push through the cloud and go up a lot higher from there. But then being stuck in a range for about half a year, which is completely understandable to cool off this whole bull trend, right? Well, we're on month 6 over here, trying to tack into the Ichimoku cloud. Are we going to be able to do that? We'll see, right? One thing that's pretty bullish, if you instead of looking at the Ichimoku cloud, you look at the Super Ichi cloud, which is a Ichimoku cloud derivative that takes into account of the super trend. You can see that you see a very similar thing here. It's stuck between the cloud and it's stuck between the Tenkan-Kishin, right? It's squeezing over here, forming a very nice bull flag or dragon head, whatever you call it. But the problem right now is that it's hitting resistance, right? Well, look, guess what it's doing? Price simply just went sideways, and through the sideways action is entering the Subichi cloud. So because it is trying to break a pretty important resistance, I think this is a bullish price action over here, and you know I'm actually finding this to be a pretty positive development. Look at the Bollinger Band. The upper and lower Bollinger Band is still nicely separated. The lower Bollinger Band is all the way down, right? So this tells you I don't think this bull market is over yet. I think that most likely there's still room for it to go, but it's just simply gone way too far, way too fast, and it's just needed to cool down, and this is the necessary cool down that needed to happen, right? So what we're seeing here, could price end up going up to touch the upper Bollinger Band here around 20.5 for the month of July, or is it going to go for another sideways month before going up higher? Well, it depends on what Bitcoin is doing. One very important thing is that CleanSpark has actually been outperforming Bitcoin. You remember how bearish price action was in like Thursday, and CleanSpark just like on Friday when the market opens back up again is like, I'm gonna go down like 0.62%. I've corrected enough. That's kind of what it's telling me. Now I could be completely wrong about this, but that's what like the correction move is. Sideways is over, and I do think that the next move is probably going to end up being up whenever this is done. Looking at a little bit of a smaller time frame on the weekly here, you can see that on the weekly it's also looking pretty decent. Now you do have a little bit of slight decrease in whale, right? You can see that both on the monthly time frame and on the weekly time frame, but they're both like still about 50%. And the retail also really isn't that increasing, to be completely honest with you. So even though there's a little bit of decreasing in whalish momentum, you also don't really have increase in retail momentum either. And things are just kind of going sideways, just consolidating over here for quite some time. The Bollinger Band for CleanSpark is squeezing, and price just simply inside the bull market support band. It didn't even bother touching the lower Bollinger Band. You know why that is? I called this on Friday too. I didn't think that was going to go down that much further, at least for Friday. What's going to happen next week? I don't know. But basically, when I was looking at this, I was like, yeah, it could probably wick underneath of that, but the support around this level over here, which is going to be around 15.57. I thought 15.57 was going to hold, and sure enough, it held, right? And the volume also isn't that all that impressive either. It's just basically been range bound over here for at least like 3 or 4 months, between the Tenkan and Kijun over here. So it's just doing a whole heck of nothing. It's boring the crap out of a lot of people. But so far, it's consolidated enough that I actually think that it's probably ready to make a pretty big move whenever it's ready to do so. I just don't know when it's going to be. Now, in terms of price target, I always talk about this pretty much on every single video. I'm not going to belabor the point here, but all I'm going to say is that there's still arc resistance right up above over here, and currently price is still stuck in the range, right? So it really need to break about 17.3 here to really solidify its entrance into the monthly Ichimoku cloud and break this weekly Tenkan up here. And the next thing, this next stop's going to probably be around like 22 bucks around the top of this arc, as well as the 0.5 Fibonacci level. Next stop's going to be around 27, which is going to be 0.618 is a golden ratio. It's a very important Fibonacci level in general, right? So you're talking about, yeah, let's break above like, 17.3, 22, 27. Then you're talking about potentially things getting pretty bullish. You're talking about maybe things would gravitate even to like 82, 100 bucks, maybe 150, right? But it has to break above the current resistance first, because resistance or still resistance is stuck in a range. Even though I favor bullish continuation, you can never be sure. I just made a whole video about Bitcoin. I don't think Bitcoin's top yet. I still think there's ways to go. So that's why I think CleanSpark is going to keep going up. That's my thought. So that was CleanSpark. Also, one last thing here, why I think this is early cycle behavior, because look at CleanSpark over Bitcoin chart. Like, it looks like CleanSpark over Bitcoin chart is telling us that most likely after this consolidation over here, CleanSpark is going to keep outperforming Bitcoin moving forward. So I don't have anything else to add here for CleanSpark. Look at Mara. If I zoom out, if I take off the gain, just look at what Mara is doing. It's also very similar to CleanSpark in a way that's stuck in a range. It's stuck, instead of stuck underneath the cloud and the Tenkan Kijun, is stuck within the Tenkan Kijun itself, right? Had a bullish cross in February 2024 and it's just been stuck in this range for quite some time, sometimes higher, sometimes lower. But right now it's just stuck, it's just consolidating sideways. It's been consolidating sideways for about 8 months now. It's building up a lot of energy for it to kind of go either one way or the other. I think because the trend has been up, most likely it's going to keep going up. It just looks like it's just channeling up above, to be completely honest with you. So I'm still feeling it for Mara. I'm still thinking that Mara is probably going to end up breaking above and probably test the bottom of the monthly Ichimoku cloud up here. And we'll see. If you look at the Tsubishi cloud, you're basically seeing the same thing. It's stuck inside a range for about 8 months. Over here and over here, it's stuck in the between Tenkan and Kijun. And this consolidation zone is on declining volume. Whales are still in, they're still greater than 50%, getting close to about 60%. So there's really nothing like really too bearish about this chart, to be completely honest. Bollinger Band is not expanding like CleanSpark is, but price just went sideways for far too long. This looks like it's contracting here a little bit, right? Same thing happened during the last cycle. Before it goes up, you have a little bit of contraction over here before this parabolic move up, right? Again, same thing also happened with the last cycle in terms of the Ichimoku cloud, where the Tenkan and Kijun had crossed, had a bullish cross over here, bullish cross over here. Over here, consolidated maybe like 3 months before going up. Over here, consolidated maybe for like 7 or 8 months, maybe perhaps before going up, right? So these bullish cross over here and over here are not to be necessarily underestimated. If anything, whales have been staying in so far during these moves a lot better than over here. So I wonder if a big move could potentially come soon for Mara. It's consolidated simply far too long. On the weekly chart, you can see that it bounced from the top of the Ichimoku cloud, and it looks like it wants to challenge like 24 pretty soon, right? Looks like it's these are basically very, very bullish look to it. I have nothing really necessarily bearish to say about how it looks whenever it's above the cloud and wherever the blue line, the Tenkan, is serving as support now, right? So I have nothing really bearish to say about this. The other thing to look at is also, the other thing to look at is also look at the Bollinger Band. You see Bollinger Band is really, really squeezing pretty tight, and price is currently really above the boomerang support band over here. So a bigger move is going to come soon. Which way is it going to go? I don't know 100% for certain, but wells are still in, and so far the trend is still overall up, right? So I'm going to favor bullish continuation, and a stronger move could come pretty soon for Mara. And I think it's probably going to surprise a lot of people that are not watching my video, that are going to get caught off guard, and they're going to come back and say, should they chase? I'm going to say, I don't know. You should have done this, you should have done that. I know it's not helpful for you, but you do you, right? None of this is financial advice, by the way. I'm just showing you what I see, and I'm just showing you what I'm doing. I have a position in Mara, and I've been buying for quite some time now. I haven't really bought over here anymore because I just feel like I have way too much Mara right now, but soon I might not feel that way, but that's okay. I'm probably just going to keep holding it. That's Mara in a nutshell. You look at the Fibonacci levels, you also look at the CAN. Basically, it's already kind of broke out above this arc right here, but it's just kind of stuck inside the 0.236 Fibonacci level around $22. It just keeps on getting rejected by it, right? Well, if it breaks above, where's it going to go? Probably around $34. If it breaks above that, where's it going to go? $43, $52. There are all these levels up above. How far is it going to go this cycle? Maybe around the arc over here, maybe like 80, 90, maybe up at the horizontal line up here around like 340. I don't know, okay? I mean, like right now I think we need to break above the current resistance at 22, and if we don't, could the cycle be over again? I just made a video saying that I don't think Bitcoin cycle is over yet. So Mara's probably going to keep going up because they hold a lot of Bitcoin. And again, 33, 43, you have a couple other levels up here above. I don't want to be like too crazy, but overall I'm still pretty bullish on Mara. The weekly chart also still show you that the whales are still in, right? So nothing really that big of a concern as far as I'm concerned. Bitfarms. What's Bitfarms doing? Bitfarms is a little bit different. Bitfarms is a little bit different. That is not stuck in a range as bad as CleanSpark or Mara. Bitfarm actually looks like it wants to potentially push up higher, although so far we have a wick on down below, and looks like we've got a little bit of like a hammer kind of candle over here. Maybe a little bit similar to over here, kind of wick down below, try to get closed or test the Tenkan line. Maybe it's doing something very similar over here before its bullish continuation to the beginning of the monthly Ichimoku cloud up here. I don't know, right? But it's looking pretty decent. Looks like it broke out of this range, but to be completely honest, it's probably still stuck in a range over here. It's just a little bit, more of like an exaggerated Mara. I think Mara's probably going to end up following Bitfarms' footsteps and break this range of the Tenkan and Kijun. But even Bitfarms is still, trying to break above a lot of these resistance. But I'm going to show you in a little bit in terms of what resistance there could be. Right. Put up the Super cloud, you can see clearly that it's also just like Mara. It's also stuck in a range, right? So it's just still probably doing a whole heck of nothing, but it's consolidated enough. It's a big giant cup and handle. It's consolidated enough. I think Bitfarm should go up higher. Whales are in, and the Bollinger Band, a little bit more squeezy, kind of like what Mara is trying to do. But it looks like 21 moving average is still pointing up. All these things are still pretty favorable for Mara, for Bitfarm so far, right? Okay, so a couple other things here. Look at what in terms of what Bitfarm is doing. Bollinger Band looks like it wants to squeeze as well. A bigger move might be coming. Is it about the boomerang support band? The answer is yes. So about boomerang support band oscillating around for quite some time. Bollinger Band squeezing. Big move coming. What it's been doing mostly higher highs, higher lows. Bull trend, right? So maybe higher. That's kind of the thought here. Again, on the weekly, you can still see that whales are still in. Retail initially came in a little bit hotter, but so far they're not there as much anymore. It looks like there's a little bit more of a whale predominance that's starting to build back up here a little bit, right? So if I take off these indicator, if I just pull up the Fibonacci, if I pull up the GAN here, you can see a little bit more clearly in terms of what price action has been doing. It's simply doing this. It's stuck between the 0.382 Fibonacci retracement and the 0.136 Fibonacci retracement. Hit the top, hit the bottom. Right now went to the middle. Went through the middle, back test the arc, back test the 0.236, And whenever it's done back testing this, it's probably going to gravitating towards maybe like $3.8 again. See whether or not we can break that resistance zone. And if we break that resistance zone like we didn't last time, if we're able to break through that, then we're talking about maybe like $4 or $5, or maybe even like $7 somewhere up here. The reason why this zone is such a hard thing to break, and the reason why we've been stuck here for more than half a year, is because over here during the bull market, before it rolled over, this whole like $3 zone has been served as some pretty strong support until it broke down below, right? So it's not surprising that this is going to serve as a little bit of a stronger resistance. That's all there is. Like, I'm not that worried, but if you ask me what the cycle top is going to be, well, let's do one thing at a time. Break about $4 or $5, break about 7. Then you're talking about the high teens, or you're talking about 20, 24, low 40s, right? Break above that, then you're talking about some pretty crazy targets up here. But one thing at a time. We are still underneath the 0.382, which is around $4. We're still underneath $5. We're still underneath $7. One thing at a time. Looking pretty bullish though. CIFR monthly chart. Whales are slowly increasing. Ichimoku above the Tenkan, right? What about the Super Ichi cloud? Still stuck in a range, but above the Tenkan. All these are pretty bullish development. I actually love the way that CIFR's looked. And yeah, a lot of people don't believe me, but you know, again, like this is all probabilistic. It's not deterministic. I just like the way that it looks because it looks like it wants to roll up. And it looks like 20-month moving average wants to keep pushing price up higher. And it looks like the Bollinger Band wants to keep going up a little bit higher over time. And it looks like it really tries to kind of break above this crazy range over here at around $5.5, and also this crazy resistance here at the volume shelf over here. It looks like it wants to break it more frequent and harder every single time. It just tries to knock it over the door. It looks like it wants to break the door, right? That's what it looks like it wants to do to me. So instead of looking at it again, I'm going to look at the weekly chart here. What about the other indicators? Are they being bullish? Yes, because it's on top of the Ichimoku cloud. Looks like it wants to bounce from the Ichimoku cloud and break that 5 to 5.5 resistance. If you look at the Bollinger Band, it looks like it's getting a little bit more squeezy, right? And it looks like it's on top of the Bollinger support band here as well, right? So everything is going pretty favorable so far. There are not really any major concerns I see. Plus the whales are heavily in as of last week, right? So all of these things are pretty promising. Now, if I look at it again from the weekly perspective, you're going to see that currently the candle is, you know, above this big volume shelf over here and is underneath this horizontal line over here around $5. And it's also underneath this 5.5 horizontal resistance zone that's been going for quite some time. If it's able to break above that, there might be a little bit of resistance around $8, because there's a little bit of a history over here around, like, you know, around the price around $8. But really, you're talking about probably going to like $10 in a hurry if it breaks above the zone. Kind of like what IREN and WULF has been doing, because they've also consolidated for quite some time. They also waited for the breakout for quite some time, and when they break, they break. They went crazy, right? And the entire time, this really truly looks like a little bit of more of a consolidation of like a reaccumulation, kind of like how this is accumulation. This looks like reaccumulation. And so far, this whole thing looks like an ascending triangle, which is a very bullish look to it. That really is CIFR. Like, if you really talk about some of the higher targets in terms of the cycle, I would say let's take one thing at a time. But I would say $8 maybe some resistance, $10 maybe some resistance. Beyond that, you're talking about the high teens. And then beyond that, you're talking about potentially get up to like the 50s and the 60s. That's kind of what I'm looking at. But one level at a time. I don't want to just go all crazy. Like we're still stuck here. There's always a possibility where you can break underneath the angle and keep going down. But because I feel bullish on Bitcoin, I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen. Right? That is CIFR. IREN, one of my favorite stocks, one of y'all's favorite stocks. Look at a monthly. It looks like a very, very beautiful bullish breakout. You know, if you just look at the Ichimoku, you had a bullish cross last Monday, and right now for the month of July, You have a little bit of bullish continuation. Over here, you got rejected. I'm going to show you what it got rejected by. It's probably because of these, volume shelf levels over here. And it's like for like the first week of July, just filled this whole wick over here with a candle. Whales are increasing, right? All of these are very, very bullish sign, like bullish cross, price action. Everything looks very, very good, right? Supaichi reclaiming the Tenkan, right? Bull in Japan, very much expanding. Problem is it's maybe a little bit overextended. So, and also it's happening on at resistance. So if Bitcoin keeps going like berserk, I mean, IREN could keep going berserk. But if Bitcoin doesn't go berserk and the rest of the stock market doesn't go berserk, I think IREN may end up going sideways here a little bit. Question mark. Whales certainly don't necessarily want that, but I do think that weekly is no longer as overextended. Weekly has just been kind of consolidating sideways over here. And it looks like it just wants to keep pushing up higher. This is a crazy chart. It just looks like it wants to keep pushing up higher. Whales are totally in, right? There's not even much to show in the Ichimoku. Like, it's bullish. It's way above the cloud, way above the Tenkan Kijin. The question is whether or not it's way too overextended. That's the question. On the monthly, it's already overextended. It looks like it's way above the upper Bollinger Band, right? And on the weekly, it's a little bit peeking its head above too on the upper Bollinger Band. It's also a little bit too far from the Tenkan underneath, the blue line underneath. So you might end up having that potential sideways move here for a little bit longer before going up higher, or it can even correct a little bit through price, get a little bit lower before going up higher, right? I was thinking there are a couple of very important support zones, like $8 is going to be one, $10 is going to be one, because if I put up the Ichimoku cloud like $10, you're going to have these levels over here of support, and also $8 is going to be just this horizontal resistance zone that's been going on for quite some time. So it's not the end of the world if it back test some of that stuff down here before going up higher, right? But I was also talking about the possibility that it doesn't have to do that because of how crazy bullish it looks. It could just simply bounce from the Supaichi cloud and just keep going up from there, which is what IREN looks like it might want to do, which is completely insane to me. I'm still holding up the thought that it could still go down further, but right now the chart just doesn't look like it wants to. So to me, I'm going to hold it. I'm not going to buy. I'm not going to sell. I'm just going to hold it right around where we are, because it could break through and go a lot higher, or it could break down and some of the support zones going to be around $8 to $10. If it gets down there, would I increase my cost average from like $4 or $5 to where it like potentially around 8 or 10? Maybe, but so far I'm not really inclined to do so, right? Either way, if I put up the GAN over here, you can see that I think that it's been hitting the bottom of the arc as resistance here for a few weeks. That's probably why it's getting rejected. But it did find support here at the 0.382 Fibonacci level, and also found support, as I was showing you, at the Supaichi cloud, right? As you found support, you have bing bong, two candles over here inside this candle over here. As these are two inside candles. Not able to break down further. Next thing you know, bull breakout, right? So it breaks into the 0.5 Fibonacci level. That's also an important resistance level here too, right? Got rejected here twice. Looks like we're closing the week above with that. So we haven't really done that for like forever. So that's a pretty important sign here. Should it challenge the arc over here and maybe spend another few weeks underneath the arc before going up further to maybe like 22.5, that could be potentially next level. Could end up ping pong over here and getting rejected and actually come down here to like $10 or maybe to like $8 before its bullish continuation form and like higher low before going up higher. That's also a possibility. But as far as I'm concerned, like I'm not going to I'm not going to try to sell out of it right now and try to buy back lower. Like that, I just don't really want to do it. Look at how powerful the whales are, right? Because some of the targets I'm also looking at potentially, if it breaks above the zone, again, it doesn't have to, right? But it breaks above the zone, then it allows you to look at some of the targets a little bit higher, like the 30s, 40s, potentially 60s, potentially even triple digits. I'm not going to go like that crazy with IREN. I'm just going to take things, kind of one step at a time and then see where IREN takes us. If it ends up not going that much further, going to 22.5, great. But if the Bitcoin bull market ends up being like insanely bullish to like 6 figures in a hurry, then yeah, IREN can keep going up. Anyway, that's my thoughts on IREN WULF. My last one I'm going to talk about here in this video is WULF. And WULF going back to the monthly here, it looks very similar to IREN, completely honest with you. Look at how bullish the whales are over here. Look at what the Ichimoku cloud is doing with the bullish cross. Simply a little bit too far overextended, so I'm a little bit worried about that. I also think that WULF is a hold because it can keep going up a lot higher in defined physics. Bollinger Band is completely expanded. Price is simply way outside of the upper Bollinger Band here too, right? So I'm concerned that it looks like a little bit overextended, but who am I to say? Like, you don't bet against momentum. I could sell around here and try to buy back lower, but I just don't know, like, whether or not this is necessarily going to happen. That this is a very, very powerful bull trend. They just have a pretty nice breakout with huge whalish momentum, right? On pretty decent volume too, I should add. So you have a little bit of declining volume over here with price going up higher, which may be a little bit of a bearish sign, but again, price can keep going up higher in low volume and being overextended for a very, very long time. So I'm not necessarily going to bet against that. You can look at the Ichimoku on the weekly. Looks like it's bullish. It's about the Tenkan Kishin and the cloud. Look at Super Ichi cloud over here. Price basically just kind of broke above this Ichimoku cloud. Even kind of sort of did like a back test over here for 2 months. It looks like I just want to keep going higher. So this is very, very similar to IREN in terms of the situation. Huge whalish momentum here. You look at a Bollinger Band, is also fully expanded here on the weekly, right? A little bit overextended on a weekly, but on a weekly it doesn't look as crazy as it does over here on the monthly. It's just like it's not even touching the Bollinger Band over here at all. Going back to weekly, turning off the Bollinger Band, turn on my Gann and Fibonacci levels. You're gonna see what is doing. It is right around a confluence area of some pretty significant resistance over here. Is it going to break about like 6.3? Is it going to get to a 7.7 zone over here, or like $8 zone over here? Possible, but you're hitting some resistance over here, right? Like the higher it goes, I feel like the more risk there is with declining volume. But you could keep going tick, keep going up higher, and it can even like come back down briefly and just kind of back test the arc before going up higher to the next arc, right? But so far, I just, again, same thing like IREN, I just think WULF is a hold. I don't think it's necessarily like a buy or sell or anything. I'm just going to let it be and let it do its thing. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for listening to my Bitcoin miner video update. I do want to say that as I was pulling up the CleanSpark over Bitcoin chart, Mara over Bitcoin has just been going sideways here for a very long time. Like, it's been going sideways here since like really May of 2022. So Mara is neither outperforming or underperforming Bitcoin. I think it's more or less just kind of like a derivative of Bitcoin at this point. It might end up changing. Things might end up changing for that. But we'll see. Like right now it's underneath the Ichimoku cloud, but it's turning the Tenkan from resistance to support, right? So we'll see whether or not we end up oscillating back above the cloud, or maybe even go up a lot higher. But it does look like Mara is not too shabby right now. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.